Well, hello everyone. Alejandro Tornato here, coming directly from Beaufort, Georgia. And it's a great delight to be connecting with all of you once again for our daily teachings. And today, what I want to share with you is it has to do with mistakes. It has to do with failure. And the title is Keeping Mistakes in Perspective. Keeping Mistakes in Perspective. Now, before I really get into the teaching, let me ask you a few questions. The first one is, what do you do when you make a mistake? How do you react when you make a mistake? I'm asking you these questions because people have a variety of reactions to the messes that they make. And let's be absolutely sure that we all, if we are doing something, that is the qualifier. If you are doing something, especially if you are doing or trying something new for the very first time, believe me, you are going to make a mess. you are going to make a mess. I tell you, because I have made so many messes in my life, I can hardly count the number of times. But there are lots of different peoples and the ways that they react are different. For instance, some begin to, when they make a mistake, when they fail, when they make a mess, some begin to judge and criticize themselves, and sometimes very harshly, sometimes in a very negative kind of way. They do that. Number two, some, on the other hand, do not accept it. See, they do not accept it, that they made a mistake. And consequently, they try to shift the blame to others or to things that are outside of themselves. And I'm sure that you met those kinds of people that they just don't take any responsibility for what they've done. They try to shift, responsibility left and right, and it's not what I did. Somebody made me do that. You met those kinds of people. And number three, yet some, and this is sadly the minority, have the attitude of looking at the mistake, or the mistakes, plural, as a welcome opportunity for learning and growing in a particular area of their lives. Even though there is an initial frustration, because let's face it, when you make a mistake, you are going to feel a sense of perhaps disappointment, a sense of frustration. But that initial frustration, these kinds of people, they do not let it linger on for an extended period of time. And they keep moving forward. See, they made a mistake. Maybe they spent a day with a level of frustration and disappointment, but then very quickly they just move on with their lives. They don't stay stuck in the mistake. That in itself, let me be very honest with you, staying stuck in the mistake is in itself the biggest mistake that you can possibly make. Now, how do you leave the road of continual failure? Now, in order to do that, a person must utter the three most difficult words that are this: I was wrong. I was wrong. So, what is your attitude toward a mistake that you made? I mean, if you take responsibility, you are going to be very easily utter those words. Hey, I was wrong. I messed up. And you acknowledge that. But not many people acknowledge the fact that they made mistakes. You see, when you utter those words, I was wrong, he has to open his eyes, he admit his mistakes, and accept complete responsibility for his current wrong actions and attitudes. And that is looking at mistakes from a different perspective. You see, remember this. Remember that every failure and every mistake that you experience in your life, it's a fork in the road. It is a fork in the road. It's an opportunity to take the right action, to learn, and to begin once again. You know, as a matter of fact, I mean, one of the things that I learned with years of making mistakes and with years of failing, the fact that every mistake that you make is a new starting point. You see, the mistake, I mean, you've done something, you made a mess, you made a mistake. Well, that is not the end, but that is the beginning of something new. And some people, they look at a mistake as the end of all, or a failure as the end. And no, you have to shift your thinking, your perspective. And you have to look at a failure not as an end, but as a beginning. Because by failing, you learn many things along the way. And those learnings are the beginning of the next chapter that you are beginning to write. Peter Drucker, who was a leadership expert, said the following. It says, the better a man is, the more mistakes he will make. For the more new things he will try. And he said, I will never promote to a top-level job a man who was not making mistakes. Otherwise, he is sure to be mediocre. Let me say that again, because that is very important. That is crucial to the concept of mistake making. It says, the better a man is, the more mistakes he will make. With that, the whole issue about mistakes should be settled in concrete, settled in concrete. The better a man is, the more mistakes he will make. Okay, the case is closed. The case is closed. You see, it is people who make mistakes are the ones who are making a change in the world. I want you to pay attention to this. I want you to listen to this very carefully. People who make mistakes are those who are making the greatest contributions in life. You may say, how is it possible? Well, it is possible because the reason that they're making mistakes is because they are doing things. They are trying things. They are trying new things. They are creating new things. And they are making mistakes along the way. So, the better a man is, the more mistakes he will make. Now, let's get to the second part. For the more new things he will try. Yes. And that's why they're making mistakes, because they're trying new things. They're not sitting on their bumps on the couch doing absolutely nothing. Eating potato chips and Coke. You're very safe. You're not making mistakes, but you're not actually contributing anything to the world. It's when you get out of that comfort zone and you begin doing things and failing and making mistakes and making messes and getting your hands dirty, and that's when progress is moving and is gathering momentum. Otherwise, and he says, I will never promote to a top level position, to a top level executive position, a man who doesn't make mistakes, or a man who was not making mistakes. I need to see proof that a person failed in the past, made mistakes in the past, because that speaks volumes. At least it gives the person who is trying to promote the sign that that person was doing something, was actively doing something. Otherwise, he is sure to be mediocre. And I said it a few times before. The etymology and the meaning of the word mediocre, okay, is, the illustration is someone who is climbing a mountain, and that person gets halfway up the mountain, and he says, wow, it's too hard. And I know that I got to the halfway point, but I know that the second halfway to get to the summit is going to be even harder. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to go down. That is the definition of mediocrity. Is not going all the way to the summit, is excellence. Going halfway up the mountain is a sign of mediocrity. That is the difference between the two. So a person who doesn't have a resume, a CV of mistakes, of failures, is a person who has led a life of mediocrity as opposed to excellence. Remember one thing, my friends, mistakes really pave the road to achievement. Mistakes pave the road to achievements. Now, I will share with you an acronym of the word mistakes that hopefully will give you some additional perspective. And I will not spend too much time on each one of those, but consider the word mistakes. Now, the first M stands for messages that give us feedback about life. So mistakes, consider them as messages that give you feedback about life. And you can tweak those messages. You can modify those messages in order to get a different feedback about life. Now, the I stands for interruptions that should cause us to reflect and think. You know, some people get interrupted and are given to frequent interruptions. And interruptions, the interruptions can be very bad, because every time that you're interrupted, then it takes you a long time to get back to where you were before the interruption happened. But in this case, we are using interruptions in a more intentional way. We are using interruptions to help us think and reflect upon things. Now, the S, the first S in mistakes, stands for signposts that direct us to the right path. Signposts that direct us to the right path. So mistakes, you can look at them very bad, or you can look at them as signposts, that they're directions that will guide you to a particular path. It may not be the right path, but they'll guide you to a path. And then you can modify it and change that path as you are walking along that pathway. Now, the T stands for tests that push us toward greater maturity. Tests that push us toward greater maturity. Allow mistakes to help you grow and mature in your experience of living. The A is awakenings that keep us in the game mentally. Awakenings that keep us in the game mentally. The K, keys that we can use to unlock the next door of opportunity. So once you make a mistake, don't look at it negatively. Look at it as a key that you just been handed, that you can use to unlock the next door of opportunity. How good it would be if everyone who makes a mistake, everyone who fails, says, okay, I just been given the key to unlock the next door that would allow me to step into my next opportunity and your next opportunity. Now, the E stands for explorations that let us journey where we've never been before. Explorations that let us journey where we've never been before. You see that That is one of the key issues of creative individuals, that they are natural explorers. They never get tired of exploring, finding new ways, finding new pathways, finding new journeys, even going where no one has gone before. Was that one of Star Trek's? Going where no one has gone before, okay, or going where they have never been before, discovering new trails and leaving a trail behind. And the last S of mistakes is all about statements about our development and progress. Statements about our development and progress. Now let me just close this teaching on mistakes and having the right perspective on mistakes, and that last S, statements about our development and progress. I mean, look at mistakes as stepping stones in your own self-development and growth and progress in life. Don't look at mistakes as preventing mechanisms, but look at mistakes as allowing mechanisms for you to keep developing and progressing in life. And as I close this teaching on mistakes, let me share this with you, that whether in your family or in your social circle or at work, do not be an encourager of mistakes. Do not be an encourager of mistakes. But at the same time, do not be a harsh judge of mistakes when they happen and when other people make mistakes. Don't be a harsh judge of mistakes, but transform yourself into becoming welcoming and accepting mistakes as necessary stepping stones to progress. And your perspective toward mistakes and failures will change in a positive way. You see, when you transform your thinking about mistakes from a judge and a non-accepting person of mistakes to someone who, okay, a mistake was made, now let's learn from the mistake, let's welcome the mistake, let's accept the mistake and learn from it and grow from it and become better as a result of it. That's what we need to do. And that's what we need to learn to be in the area of mistakes and failures and messes. Okay? So that's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you so very much for your attention, for listening, whether you are with me today or you're catching the replay. Thank you. And by all means, please tell me, what kind of a person are you when it comes to mistakes? I mean, how do you handle mistakes? How do you react toward mistakes? Are you a harsh judge, or you are more accepting of mistakes and accepting them, because you know that mistakes are necessary for progress. Just drop your comments below, and let's engage in a dynamic and meaningful conversation. I would love that. So thank you so very much. If you want to contact me directly, there is my website, alejandrojtornato.com, alejandrojtornato.com. You can always find me on social media, on my No Limits Living Facebook page, my Facebook group, Conversations with Influencers. Go to my and check out and subscribe to my newly YouTube channel, Alejandro J. Tornato Inspires. Alejandro J. Tornato Inspires. And you're going to get a good amount of videos that I upload on a regular basis. I put them in different categories, and they are great conversations with influencers. I put all the videos there, tons of videos. I mean, a great quality conversations with great leaders and influencers and game changers. So everything is there. And also check out my podcast, The Alejandro Tornato Show. The Alejandro Tornato Show, available in all platforms, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and all the rest. So thank you so very much. And remember to live every moment of your life to the fullest. Be resilient, and also be kind, be passionate, be intentional. And remember that we were not designed and created with any kind of limitations. So live every day to the fullest of your potential and ability, and make every day a limitless experience. Thank you very much. Until the next time that we meet, be well.